Today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite secret agent that who actually is a very interesting deck that people played for Rogue for a bit. We're going to be talking about Time Thief. Now, Time Thief is a deck that's based around level 4 monsters and rank 4 monsters. Now, first off, we have Time Thief Winder. You can detach material from a monster you control, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Time Thief card from your deck to your hand, except Time Thief Winder. You can only use each effect once per turn. Time Thief Winder is one of your main cards in your deck because it is an extender, plus it gets you to another card which is very great, like Time Thief Startup, Hack, or even FLYBACK. Next up we have Time Thief Adjuster. She is a level 4 psychic. If you normal or special summon a Time Thief monsters, except Time Thief Adjuster, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one Time Thief card from your deck to the graveyard, except Time Thief Adjuster, but you can only use one effective Time Thief Adjuster per turn. In my opinion, and in my defense, this card should have been, you could only use each effect once per turn, instead of one effect per turn, because this card limits what you can do with it. Being able to special summon Winder and special summon Adjuster, get a search is pretty good, but getting Ascend would have also been pretty good too. Could have pushed it a bit further than what this card can allow us to do. Then we have Time Thief Battle Soul Ship. It's a quick effect. You contribute this card, target one Time Thief Exceed you control, attach one card from your opponent's graveyard to that monster as a material. And if this card is in the graveyard, you can detach one material from a monster you control, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field, which won't likely happen because you're going to overlay with it, and you can only use each effect once per turn. Another very good, decent extender. One of the things you could do is, if this is in your graveyard and you manage to get two monsters on the board to overlay, you can go into one of your 3 Exceeds, which is quite nice. We have Time Thief Chrono Coder. During the battle phase, quick effect, tribute this card. The next battle damage you take from an attacking monster is inflicted to your opponent instead, so it is a magic cylinder, but not really a magic cylinder. If a face-up Exceed monster you control leaves the field by a card effect while it's in your graveyard, except during the damage step, which is sad, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So another type of, if X happens, special summon, or do X to summon, which honestly is very good. And we have 2 ships, which is useful. Next up we have Time Thief Temp Whaler. You contribute this card, then target one monster your opponent controls, banish it until the end phase. If this card is in your graveyard, target one Time Thief monster you control, except Temp Whaler, return that monster to the hand, and if you do, special summon this card, but banish it only when it leaves the field. This card goes hand in hand quite well with things like Time Thief Adjuster and Time Thief Winder, so you can go, target my Adjuster or Winder, bounce it back, summon this, and then you go effective Adjuster to special, or you can just normal summon Winder to get a search. After that, we have Time Thief Startup. Special summon one Time Thief monster from your hand. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Time Thief Exceed monster you control, attach 3 Time Thief cards of different types, 1 monster, 1 spell, and 1 trap from your graveyard to that monster as material. You can only use 1 effect of Time Thief Startup per turn, and only once that turn. So this is essentially a pseudo E-Telly, so you can summon any of these from your hand, which is very useful to summon out Adjuster or summon out Regulator, which I completely skipped over Regulator because it's the best monster. If you control no other monsters, you contribute this card, special summon 2 Time Thief monsters from your deck with different names and defense position, except Time Thief Regulator. When an Exceed monster you control is destroyed by battle, while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. And you can only use each effect of Time Thief Regulator once per turn. So Time Thief Startup can summon out Regulator, it can summon out Adjuster and Winder from your hand, which is very good. Regulator can summon any of these 5 from your deck, which is very good. So you can summon out a Winder and Adjuster, so you can get a Send and a Search, or an Extender and a Search, or a Dump and a Search, and whatever. So you can go search, like if you activate Starter, summon out Regulator from hand, use Regulator, summon out Winder and Adjuster, you get to dump the Basil ship, and then with the search, you get to search out any one of your 3 other spells, which we have Time Thief Hack. During the turn that they're summoned, Exceed monsters you control cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effect. Also, your opponent cannot target them with card effects. This is a really, really good card for the deck because it protects all your Xseed monsters. You can target one face of Xseed monster you control, gains 300 attack for each material currently attached to it until the end of this turn, and if it does, and also has a material that is owned by your opponent, it can attack directly during this turn, even if this card leaves the field. So you can just attack directly with something like, if you Redoer, attack, cool, which is very good. After that, we have Time Thief FLYBACK. It is a normal trap card. Target one Time Thief Xseed monster you control. Attach one Time Thief card from your hand or deck to it as material. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Time Thief Xseed monster you control. Attach one card from your opponent's graveyard to it as material. And you can only use one Time Thief FLYBACK effect per turn. So you can instantly just attach something that you need to your Time Thief Xseed monster, which is very good. Or you can attach and interrupt something that your opponent's doing. So this is like Bastille before Bastille. Next up, we have Time Thief Retrograde. When a spell trap card is activated, and while you control Time Thief Xseed monster, negate the activation. And if you do, attach that card to an Xseed monster Time Thief you control as a material, and you can only activate one retrograde per turn. So let's say if they want to start comboing off, you retrograde them, and then you just attach it to one of your three Xseeds, being Redoer. Everyone knows what Redoer does. 2 level 4s. Once during the standby phase, attach the top card of your opponent's deck to this card as a material, and you could quick effect attach up to 3 different types of material from this card, then apply the following effects. Monster, this card gets banished but returns till the end phase. Spell card, draw 1, and then trap places 1 face-up card your opponent controls on the top of the deck. So it's really good, and you can only use each effect of Time Thief Redoer once per turn. Honestly, this card right here is very, very powerful in multiples because you could just snipe top card, cool, and then the other one can bounce around if you really want to. You have Time Thief Double Barrel. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can detach up to 3 different type of materials from this card, monster, spell, and trap, then apply the following effects depending on what was detached in sequence. This card gains 400 attack. You take control of one of your face-up opponent's monsters until the end of the phase, but cannot declare an attack or activate its effect. Trap card, negate the effects of one effect monster on the field until the end of this turn. So on a 2200 rank 4 that's super generic, this is very good. Then we have Time Thief Perpetua. 2 level 4 monsters during the standby phase. You can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 Time Thief monster in your graveyard, except Perpetua, and special summon it. Quick effect, you can target 1 other Xseed monster you control, attach 1 Time Thief card from your deck to it as material. And this just helps load up your Time Thief Xseed monsters every turn, so you have constant material for it. So this plus hack and FLYBACK is very good, even startup too. So all this has amazing utility in the deck. But let's talk about what they could get. So they could give Time Thief some sort of e-telly from deck, as that would definitely help out the deck. Since they're level 4 psychic and machine monsters, they could be very useful. We can't even run machine dupe in the deck because all of our monsters are 600 and more, but we do have multiple other things that we could theoretically use, because I used to play this deck with a Phantom Knight and a Raid Raptor engine, which was very deadly at the time, and people got annoyed dueling against it. Now, this deck as a whole, I would say that they would deserve another monster, because we really don't have a monster to go with the Chrono Coder, even though that we do have Winder and Redoer, while Winder has its own ship, and Redoer has its own ship as well, which is the Battleship, because this is based off of stuff like Doctor Who. So we could get another main monster, so we could see more of like future stuff, which would be pretty cool. Having another extender would be quite nice. Having another spell card that actually helps fill up your Xseeds more could help, and having another trap card like a continuous trap card would be super useful. But I wonder what you guys think about what this deck deserves and what support it could get in the future, because it would be very interesting. But anyways, I have been Bolt Spider. I hope you guys did enjoy, and see you guys in the next video.